Yeah, I think that some of the I just wanted to talk about the cons of these BSMD programs, because we talked a lot about the pros. You save a year, you are able to go through college. By the way, let me say, like, don't you think like it would be wild if you knew you wanted to do primary care at like 19, 20, right? And you basically shortened your BSMD program, and you were in a 6-year program, let's say.
Yeah.
And your school had a program where you can kind of graduate early from medical school. You'd basically be doing medical school in 5 years, or like everything in 5 years.
That's like absolutely
That's
insane when you think about that.
Insane.
That's like some express doctor like future, like you see all these articles about the doctor shortage, dude. They're gonna be like pumping them out. Like,
yeah, straight up. And okay, but talking about the cons of the BSMD program, I definitely think that first of all, it's like making a bet in high school is not the best idea for most people.
Yeah. A lot of people go into college thinking they want to do one thing and then come out doing something else. You have to be laser focused.
But I don't think that's the case though. I think like you can be open to the idea of becoming a doctor, because you can always opt out, right? Like you can always say like,
yeah,
I don't want to go to school, or like there's like a requirement, but like usually you're taking this deal because the school that you're applying to isn't as well known or well connected as other schools. That's why they bundle it with a medical school acceptance.
Yeah,
so it's
this
easier.
is something definitely to keep in mind. This is obviously an exception for like the very, very well known top tier BSMD programs, like you know, for example, like Brown or Northwestern.
Yeah, name
or
drop
Rochester.
those.
You know,
Name drop
I'm just gonna name drop. I mean, everyone knows. Anyone who
at
any
Brown,
BSMD
at Northwestern,
yeah,
we're coming for you.
Any BSMD applicant worth their salt knows about these places and knows.
Yeah.
So like obviously they're a different story, but a lot of times there are many cases where very like mediocre or not very good medical schools or some will often sort of use this BSMD.
I don't think they're mediocre at all. I think it's more of like having that guarantee. They're just trying to attract students who they think would do well and go into other better medical schools.
That's actually true.
And
I think that's what I
trying to market them to come to this school based on their because I know for a fact that a lot of the people who are in BSMD programs right now, if they just have risk averse personalities, and I can say that about myself wholeheartedly, 100%, that I have a pretty risk averse personality. So it's like, if you have that type of personality, they basically make a gamble, and most of the time they're right. Like the two friends that we know who are in a different medical program, they did spectacularly well on their MCAT.
Yeah.
They did well during their college years, and if they had been in any other pre-med place,
I'm gonna be straight up, their numbers are straight up like Ivy League med school numbers. Like that's literally, I mean, and I think that's really the whole benefit. That's the benefit to the medical school side. They are essentially capturing students who pedigree wise could go to better med schools, but now they're there and they're thus improving the quality of their medical school classes. I mean, you often hear about it. I went to my accepted students day and I talked to, you know, the dean of my medical school, and he was talking about, yeah, dude, the people in this in the program, they do super well in medical school. They're like always like at or near the top of the class. And I'm like, yeah, I think that makes sense, because all these people, their caliber is, I mean, I hate to be arrogant, but a lot of these people, their caliber is just straight up above a lot of their fellow medical school attendees. Like,
I don't know about like in terms of caliber. Like I don't know if they're better, but I think like from a stats perspective, the school is banking on making a return on their investment, basically.
Yeah.
Like, sorry
Schools
to talk.
Are a business.
Sorry to talk about me in like such a objectifying way, but like basically they see that like I'm an investment. I'm going to come to their medical school. I'm guaranteed source of income. For them, or revenue for them, and I will pay dividends if I do well in my career. Yeah. So if I'm notable, or if I'm ambitious enough to do well after medical school, or even in medical school, and I'm paying tuition, then that's a return on investment, which is greater than what they had found me in high school.
Yeah, you know? And we were talking about the medical school. What about the undergrad?
The undergrad too.
There are many people who straight up get into Ivy League schools and then reject them to come to state level universities that are attached to these BSMD programs because they prefer BSMD programs
because they're risk averse
over Ivy League. Yeah, because of you can say definitely like risk aversion definitely plays into it, but like I'm talking about from the side of the of the university, the state university is now getting these essentially Ivy League caliber people who are now guaranteed to not only come to their school but stay with them. They're not going to transfer out or leave or something online. Right. They're going to stay with them all the way through.
Graduation, yeah. And I just wanted to mention that there is a pro to that, right? Like you get to have fun in an environment where in an Ivy League school, I can guarantee you there's a lot of work-related depression, right? Like I don't even know what to call it, but it's just like being in that culture of like studying, of saying that you study the least and just show that you can like party hard or whatever while also like maintaining the GPA. Like that type of culture, toxic culture is rampant in these elite universities.
Yeah, and how many people, like we've heard this story a million times. Kid is the king of their school. They're the valedictorian. They're the president of all their clubs. They come to an Ivy League school and now they're mediocre.
Yeah,
they're
like
just
the big fish.
They're just now they're one
pond.
face in a sea of many, and they suddenly that impacts people's like egos and their self-esteem. At one point you were on top of the world. I mean, like, look at these snowflakes.
Honestly, like that's like us in right? or our friend. So like basically, he had like he was just telling us about how there's different levels of tiredness, right, on a hike. And my tired, or were you telling me this?
I feel like we both were talking. We were all like talking about it.
So basically they were talking about how being tired can mean different things for different people.
Yeah.
And going back to this analogy, at the risk of taking it too far, they were talking about how on a hike, if you're tired, that can mean different things for different people. If you're out of breath, that can mean different things for different people.
Yeah.
So maybe for a friend who was really athletic, being out of breath meant going to some obscene length and some obscene height. But for us, it meant this hike was too tiring for us. So basically, going back to your Ivy League student who was from a small town, maybe he was the big fish in the small pond, and he's talking about the difficulty and the rigor of Ivy League school. It's just that subjectivity of how tired he was feeling, right? So that doesn't happen in BSMD programs because the bar is set lower.
Yeah, you're a big fish in a small pond, and then you kind of go to these places, and you can still feel like a pretty big fish,
right?
In a sense,
which kind of to me is a con also because you're not challenged challenged intellectually if you're not seeking it actively.
Yeah,
like
sorry, keep going.
Like I was just saying that you can be challenged intellectually if you seek it out. It's just a lot of people don't have that inclination because they chose this program to explore, to not really seek that stimulation.
And I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. I mean, I'll be flat out. I felt like my freshman year of undergrad was easier than high school. Like that's
really?
I thought it was like a step down in terms of academic rigor. I felt like I had to study.
I take stress management.
I had to study and work a lot less to maintain the level or even get better grades in my first year.
Yeah, that's true.
That 100% changed in second year. I mean, really? I'm just gonna say that. And even the hardest classes you take in high school just do not compare to some of the higher level Orgo 1, Orgo 2. Looking back, like I used to think some classes like A-Push and Algebra 1 were just like Algebra 2 were like crazy hard classes, and then you compare them to like the face of like Orgo 1, Orgo 2, and it's like, wow, those were nothing.
Right. I think that talking about the difficulty of classes, I have a funny story. So in my second semester freshman year, I was looking at which classes to take, and there were two options. One was health economics, and then one was stress management. Guess which one I chose? Looking at my relaxed persona, stress management has taught me a lot about how to be not stressful. It was a very easy class. We did meditation a few times a week, and
I mean, it's valuable. Honestly, it's gonna come in handy.
I think so.
Heading into medical school, I would have taken the stress management 100 times before taking like some of the higher level bio classes I took.
Yeah. So I think that talking about the pros and cons was a good decision in terms of how we feel about BSMD programs, and at least like coming into medical school having done half of the portion. Can I say that? Half, or like the easiest portion of the program.
I feel like we're done in the sense that the BSMD, the whole BSMD like part is like done. Like we're just medical students. We got our guarantee. We cashed in our guaranteed admission, and now we're here.
Right.
So like now we are no different.
Oh, so you're saying this is like the entire portion?
Yeah, this is. I think we're done. We've pretty much cast off. We're not like some special. Like it's not going to say BSMD on our med school. It's just quote unquote transcripts. You know, like it said on our it said on my college transcript. Right. We're just medical school students, a year younger than everyone else, but medical students nonetheless.
Right. Okay. So I guess saying that, how do you feel like the BSMD program impacted your college experience? How do you think it enhanced it? How do you think it detracted from it?
I think it was definitely night and day between having 4 years of being on the grind in high school versus just these years of kind of just doing. I'm not gonna lie, I did the bare minimum in college. I took my classes, I did a couple things, like I fulfilled my research requirement, and then there were a couple clubs that I was interested in that I did because I liked, but they were I did them in a pretty low commitment manner, as much commitment I want to give to, which wasn't much, and I spent the rest of the time sort of focused on myself and relaxing and just mental health in general. So I feel like in that sense, I really feel like that was really a big boon for me. I was very, very, very stressed in high school, and it actually resulted. I had some issues in terms of like during the heat of the college, during like the heat of like college apps, where like I actually was handling my stress in a very poor, unproductive way, and the fact that I was able to sort of relax and have this time where I could just sort of heal my brain from like everything I had gone through in high school, and just have this. And it's not just one grind now jumping into a new grind, you know?
Right. I think that you finish first, and then I'll say what I thought.
And I think that was probably one of the biggest viable, and it's like one of the reasons why I value my time at undergrad. It was because I had this time to relax and do things that I wanted to do, and really just pretty much just chill out, dude.
Yeah, I think that I would say the same thing. I think that college for me was a time to explore the more novel intricacies of how I learn to deal with things that are not academic.
Yeah.
I think that most of the voluntary things that I did in college were more social in terms of their intent. I was never about like, oh, let me go to a club and be more involved in the college life. I was more interested in how, if in fact I was going to do something, how I could talk about it with friends, or how I could just learn to deeply appreciate the relationships that I have in my life. Because I think something that occurred to me in sophomore and junior year of college, or junior year I say, but my gap year, was that relationships are the bedrock of how we live our life. Yeah. And I think that if you take that as your fundamental starting point, you can build your other things in life based on that. Your ambitions, everything has to come down to, at least to me, how are you impacting others, or how are you expressing that interest with others?
Yeah.
So I think that that's the big realization I took from this experience, and that's why I think this guarantee was such a good thing for me, because I think if I had not learned that from my senior year onwards, I would have not appreciated what it means to be a doctor, and not appreciated how the actions that I will take in medical school will impact people around me, people in my class, my family, and my friends.
Yeah.